The observatory at the Lunar Research Station hummed with quiet anticipation. Banks of quantum-enhanced sensors stretched across massive computational arrays, each system designed to detect the subtlest disturbances in the vast emptiness of space. Dr. Elena Rodriguez adjusted her neural interface, the soft blue light of holographic displays reflecting in her dark eyes. Humanity had learned patience. After decades of looking to the stars, of listening and watching, they understood that first contact was not about dramatic announcements or explosive confrontations. It was about preparation, about understanding. The Global Exploration and Defense Initiative, GEDI, had been more than a military program. It was a collective human endeavor that transcended traditional boundaries of nation, culture, and ideology. Established in the aftermath of global climate challenges and technological breakthroughs, GEDI represented humanity's most ambitious project, preparing for the unknown. Satellite networks crisscrossed the solar system, their sensors far more sophisticated than they appeared. Each seemed like a simple communication or research platform, but beneath their unassuming exteriors lay layers of advanced technologies. Quantum communication arrays, adaptive camouflage systems, and multispectral analysis tools turned these seemingly ordinary devices into a complex early warning network. In the command center, teams from every corner of the planet worked in seamless coordination. Japanese engineers sat beside Brazilian mathematicians. Indian quantum physicists collaborated with Canadian systems analysts. The old divisions had long since fallen away, replaced by a unified purpose that burned brighter than any individual ambition. Dr. Rodriguez remembered the stories her grandmother told her, tales of how humanity once fought among itself, wasting precious resources on petty conflicts. Now, facing the potential of extraterrestrial contact, those memories seemed like distant nightmares. The human species had learned, had grown, had transformed. Deep space monitoring systems began to register unusual quantum fluctuations. Most would have missed the subtle disturbances, minute variations in the background radiation that suggested something was moving, something was approaching. But GEDI systems were designed to catch what others might overlook. Incoming quantum signature detected, announced Michael Chen, the lead systems analyst. His fingers danced across holographic interfaces, pulling apart the data with surgical precision. Signature doesn't match any known terrestrial or previously recorded extraterrestrial technology. Elena leaned forward, her augmented reality display highlighting the anomalous data points. The approaching object was massive, its energy signature unlike anything in human databases. But more importantly, it was moving with purpose. The team had run countless simulations. First contact scenarios had been studied, dissected, and reimagined thousands of times. Some were optimistic, others deeply cautious. But no simulation could fully prepare them for the real moment of encounter. Backup systems engaged automatically. Defensive satellites repositioned themselves with mathematical precision, their adaptive camouflage making them nearly invisible. Underground research facilities activated secondary and tertiary communication protocols. Humanity would present a unified, calculated response. Preliminary analysis suggests the object is artificial, Michael continued. Biomechanical composition, advanced propulsion system. Definitely not natural phenomena. Elena's mind raced through potential scenarios. The object wasn't just approaching, it was studying, scanning. Its movement patterns suggested intelligence, calculation. Whatever was coming had been watching, learning, preparing. The global network of quantum communication relays began to pulse with carefully encrypted information. Military and scientific teams around the world synchronized their responses. No panic, no fear, just pure, focused preparation. Estimated time of potential interaction, Elena asked, her voice calm and steady. Michael checked the computational models. 48 hours, give or take 3 hours. A smile played at the corner of Elena's mouth. Humanity had waited thousands of years to reach this moment. 48 hours was nothing. They had prepared for generations, built technologies that blended scientific innovation with collective human potential. Whatever was coming would find Earth ready, not as a singular planet, but as a unified species with an unprecedented capacity for adaptation, innovation, and resilience. The stars watched, and humanity watched back. The first satellite's destruction was more than just an act of aggression. It was a message, sharp and deliberate. Rear Admiral Elena Rodriguez watched the holographic display with calculated calm. The alien vessel, a biomechanical nightmare of curves and impossible angles, had just obliterated 2 communication satellites with surgical precision. Most would have seen this as an act of war. Rodriguez saw it as an opportunity. Data acquisition protocols are active, Michael Chen announced from the communication hub. His fingers moved across quantum-encrypted interfaces, capturing every microscopic detail of the attack. The destroyed satellites were far more than simple communication platforms. They were elaborate technological traps, designed to gather critical information about any potential threat. Each satellite contained layers of advanced sensor arrays, adaptive recording systems, and quantum-encrypted data cores. Their destruction would trigger a cascade of information gathering that the attacking force could not possibly comprehend. In the Global Defense Command Center, a network of international experts watched with a remarkable lack of panic. Military strategists from different continents worked in perfect synchronization, their neural interfaces allowing near-instantaneous communication. The room buzzed with a controlled energy, not fear, but anticipation. Molecular composition analysis is complete, reported Dr. Sophia Nakamura, the lead cynotechnology expert. Her holographic displays flickered with complex molecular diagrams. The weapon signature suggests a form of directed energy we've never encountered before. Fascinating. Fascinating. Not terrifying. Not threatening. Just another puzzle to be solved. The alien vessel continued its approach, clearly expecting a response of terror or immediate surrender. Instead, it found a planet that had been preparing for this moment for generations. Defensive systems that looked passive began to subtly reconfigure. Orbital platforms shifted almost imperceptibly, their adaptive camouflage making them blend with the surrounding space debris. Elena Rodriguez understood the psychological warfare at play. The alien attack was designed to create fear, to demonstrate overwhelming technological superiority. But humanity had long ago learned that true strength was not about intimidation, but adaptation. "Prepare the quantum communication burst," she commanded. Her voice was calm, almost conversational. The communication would be a masterpiece of technological subtlety. Not a declaration of war, not a plea for mercy, but a precise, mathematically complex message that would reveal humanity's technological capabilities without showing all of its cards. Michael Chen initiated the transmission. It was a burst of quantum-encrypted data that would appear to the alien systems as multiple, seemingly random signals. In reality, it was a sophisticated probe, gathering information, testing communication protocols, and demonstrating humanity's computational capabilities. "Transmission complete," Michael reported. "Initial analysis suggests the alien communication systems are attempting to decode our signal. They won't succeed, but they'll spend considerable resources trying." The orbital defense network began its most intricate dance. Satellites that appeared simple and vulnerable began to show hints of their true complexity. Adaptive nanomaterial surfaces shifted and reconfigured, creating interference patterns that would confuse any advanced scanning technology. Dr. Nakamura's team was already developing preliminary models of the alien vessel's technological ecosystem. Every piece of data was a treasure, every moment of observation, a chance to understand. The vessel's approach suggests a hierarchical decision-making process, she explained to the assembled team. Highly structured, but with clear indicators of centralized control. They're used to quick, absolute submissions. They would find no such submission here. Elena Rodriguez watched the holographic representation of the approaching vessel. To the untrained eye, it might have looked like a moment of potential destruction. But to her, it was the beginning of humanity's most important conversation. The satellites had been sacrificial lambs, designed to provide the first critical insights into an unknown threat. Their destruction was not a weakness, but a calculated invitation. Come closer, the satellites seemed to say. We are ready. And humanity was more than ready. As the alien vessel continued its approach, unaware that it was being studied more closely than it was studying Earth, the true nature of the encounter began to take shape. This was not going to be a simple invasion. This was going to be a complex, multi-dimensional interaction that would challenge everything the alien civilization understood about first contact. The stars watched. Earth watched back. And the real conversation was about to begin. The U.S. Defiance was more than a warship. It was a mathematical symphony, a living testament to human innovation that defied every conventional understanding of space combat. As the alien fleet approached, expecting a straightforward confrontation, the Defiance began to move. Its movement was not a simple trajectory, but a complex algorithm of motion, each vector calculated to challenge the most advanced targeting systems in the known universe. Dr. Marcus Chen watched from the Auxiliary Command Center, his neural interface synchronizing with the ship's quantum computational core. The Defiance's hull was a marvel of adaptive molecular engineering, capable of shifting its structural composition faster than most computer systems could process a single calculation. Initiating Quantum Adaptive Response Protocol, Chen murmured, his fingers dancing across holographic interfaces that seemed to breathe with living data. The ship's exterior began to shimmer, not with a simple camouflage, but with a dynamic molecular reconfiguration that made it almost impossible to track. Sensors would see one thing, and a microsecond later, the reality would change. It was less a ship and more a living mathematical problem that refused to be solved. Aboard the lead alien vessel, sensor operators watched in growing confusion. Their targeting systems, which had decimated hundreds of civilizations, began to struggle. The human vessel didn't move like any known spacecraft. It seemed to exist in multiple potential states simultaneously, a quantum nightmare that defied traditional tracking methodologies. Elena Rodriguez's voice cut through the command systems with surgical precision. Maintain quantum coherence. Keep the computational dance continuous. Each movement of the Defiance was a calculated risk. The ship wasn't just avoiding attacks, it was collecting data, learning, adapting. Where most species saw combat as a linear progression of attack and defense, humans viewed it as a complex, evolving system of information exchange. The alien fleet's first wave of attack came. Energy weapons that had previously obliterated entire planetary defenses. But the Defiance was ready. Its adaptive shield system didn't just block the incoming energy. It absorbed, analyzed, and began to generate a counter-frequency almost instantaneously. Energy absorption at 78% efficiency, reported the ship's computational core, generating adaptive counter-signature. What the aliens didn't understand was that humanity's greatest weapon was not its technology, but its ability to learn and adapt at an unprecedented rate. Each microsecond of conflict was an opportunity for innovation. The surrounding human fleet moved with a similar unpredictability. They were not individual ships, but a collective intelligence. Quantum-entangled communication allowed them to move as a single adaptive organism. Where one ship might appear vulnerable, another would instantly compensate, creating a defensive network that seemed almost prescient. Dr. Chen's eyes tracked the computational models. The alien fleet was operating on a hierarchical decision-making process, rigid, predictable. Humanity's approach was fundamentally different. Each ship, each system was both an individual and part of a collective, capable of independent innovation, while maintaining overall strategic cohesion. Initiating computational interference pattern, Chen announced. The Defiance began to generate complex quantum interference waves. These weren't simple jamming signals, but intricate mathematical patterns designed to disrupt the alien fleet's computational systems at their most fundamental level. Aboard the alien command vessel, sensor readings became increasingly chaotic. Their most advanced tracking systems began to fail, replaced by cascading computational errors that seemed to emerge from nowhere. It was as if the human vessels were rewriting the very rules of engagement in real time. Elena Rodriguez understood the psychological aspect of the conflict. This wasn't just about technological superiority. It was about demonstrating a fundamentally different approach to problem solving, to existence itself. Maintain adaptive response, she commanded. Show them what humanity truly means. The Defiance continued its impossible dance, a vessel that was simultaneously a weapon, a scientific instrument, and a living mathematical proof. Each moment of the encounter was an argument, a demonstration of human potential that went far beyond simple military confrontation. The alien fleet was about to learn that humanity's true strength was not in its ability to destroy, but in its capacity to understand, to adapt, and to transform even the most challenging encounter into an opportunity for growth. The stars watched. The universe held its breath. The concept of technological innovation was deeply misunderstood by most galactic civilizations. They saw technology as a linear progression, a fixed path of incremental improvements. Humanity knew better. Technology was a living, breathing ecosystem of possibilities. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood in the holographic analysis chamber, surrounded by swirling data representations that danced like living art. The human approach to technological development was less about creating tools and more about fostering evolutionary potential. Quantum adaptive resonance at optimal levels, announced Dr. Michael Chen, his neural interface pulsing with streams of computational data. The room hummed with an almost musical energy, each system communicating, learning, transforming. The U.S. Defiance represented more than a technological achievement. It was a philosophical statement about the nature of innovation. Its weapon systems didn't just fire, they learned. Each discharge was a complex mathematical conversation, adapting in microseconds to the changing dynamics of the conflict. Spectral analysis screens showed the incredible complexity of human weaponry. Where alien technologies relied on fixed energy signatures and predictable attack patterns, human systems existed in a state of constant metamorphosis. Frequencies shifted, energy patterns reconfigured, computational matrices rewrote themselves with each passing moment. Adaptive frequency modulation at 92% efficiency, Chen reported. His fingers moved across holographic interfaces that seemed to breathe with living information. The alien fleet's computational systems struggled to comprehend what they were experiencing. Their targeting algorithms, which had conquered countless civilizations, found themselves confronted with a technological approach that defied traditional understanding. Quantum entanglement communication networks allowed the human vessels to operate as a collective intelligence. They were not individual ships, but a living, breathing system of computational potential. Where one vessel might gather information, another would instantly adapt, creating a defensive and offensive capability that seemed almost prescient. Dr. Rodriguez understood the deeper implications of their technological approach. This was not just about winning a conflict. It was about demonstrating a fundamentally different way of understanding technology, of existing in the universe. Initiate Advanced Computational Interference Protocol, she commanded. The human vessels began to generate complex quantum interference patterns. These were not simple jamming signals, but intricate mathematical constructions designed to disrupt the alien fleet's computational systems at their most fundamental level. Spectral analysis screens showed the incredible complexity of the human response. Energy signatures that seemed random to untrained eyes were actually carefully constructed mathematical arguments. Each burst of energy was a message, each defensive maneuver a statement about the nature of technological potential. The alien fleet's sensors registered impossible data. Weapon systems that should have been predictable became fluid, adaptive entities that rewrote their own operational parameters in microseconds. Defensive shields that should have been static became dynamic computational environments that learned and evolved with each incoming attack. Computational adaptation reaching critical complexity, Chen announced. What the alien civilization failed to understand was that humanity's technological approach was fundamentally different from most known galactic civilizations. Technology was not a static tool but a living, evolving ecosystem of potential. Each system was designed not just to perform a function but to learn, to grow, to transform. The U.S. Defiance continued its impossible dance across the battlefield. Its hull shimmered with adaptive molecular structures that could reconfigure faster than most computational systems could process a single calculation. Weapon systems that seemed to defy the basic understanding of physics continued their complex mathematical dialogue. Dr. Rodriguez watched the holographic displays with a sense of profound wonder. This was more than a conflict. This was a conversation. A deep, complex dialogue about the nature of technological potential, about what it meant to truly innovate. Maintain quantum coherence, she said softly. Show them what it means to truly understand innovation. The human fleet moved with an almost organic complexity. They were not just vessels of war, but living arguments about the nature of technological potential. Each movement, each computational burst was a statement about humanity's approach to understanding the universe. The stars watched. The universe held its breath. And humanity continued its impossible, beautiful dance of innovation. The moment the alien fleet committed to full-scale assault, they set in motion a chain of events they could never have anticipated. Orbital defense platforms across the solar system came to life with a precision that seemed almost supernatural. These were not simple weapon systems, but complex computational networks that had been preparing for generations. Each platform was a marvel of human engineering. Adaptive, intelligent, interconnected. Dr. Elena Rodriguez watched from the Global Defense Command Center as the first wave of alien ships approached. Her team represented a global coalition, scientists, military strategists, and computational experts from every corner of the planet. Their unity was their greatest weapon. Initiating distributed defense protocol, announced Michael Chen, his fingers dancing across holographic interfaces. The first alien ships approached with what could only be described as imperial confidence. Massive biomechanical vessels that had conquered countless civilizations now turned their attention to Earth. They expected submission. They would find something entirely different. Railgun platforms positioned at strategic lunar and orbital locations began to activate. These were not simple projectile weapons, but sophisticated computational delivery systems. Each projectile was a complex mathematical solution, capable of adaptive trajectory corrections that would make traditional targeting systems obsolete. Targeting systems synchronizing, reported a young Brazilian computational specialist. Quantum entanglement communication at optimal levels. The first volley was less an attack and more a demonstration. Projectiles launched from multiple platforms, some from lunar bases, others from strategically positioned orbital stations. They moved with a complexity that defied traditional understanding of ballistic trajectories. Quantum disruption fields began to emerge between the human defensive platforms and the incoming alien fleet. These were not simple energy barriers, but dynamic computational environments that could analyze, adapt, and counter incoming threats in microseconds. The alien commander watched in growing horror as his invasion fleet began to encounter unexpected resistance. Each defensive platform seemed to communicate with impossible speed, adapting and reconfiguring faster than any known technological system could process. Energy absorption rates exceeding all predictive models, reported a sensor operator aboard the lead alien vessel. What the aliens failed to understand was that humanity's defensive systems were not just technological constructs. They were living, evolving computational ecosystems. Each platform was both an individual system and part of a collective intelligence that could learn and adapt in real time. Lunar defense platforms, which appeared to be simple research stations, revealed their true nature. Adaptive nanomaterial surfaces shifted and reconfigured, creating interference patterns that would confuse even the most advanced scanning technologies. Dr. Rodriguez understood the psychological aspect of the conflict. This was not just about defending against an invasion. It was about demonstrating a fundamentally different approach to technological potential. Maintain computational diversity, she commanded. Keep them guessing. The Human Defensive Network was a symphony of innovation. Railgun platforms worked in concert with quantum disruption fields. Adaptive nanomaterial surfaces created computational interference that made targeting nearly impossible. Each system was both a defensive mechanism and a complex information-gathering tool. Sensor data streamed back to Earth, each microsecond of conflict providing invaluable insights into alien technological capabilities. What seemed like a defensive action was also the most comprehensive first-contact research mission in human history. The alien fleet's computational systems began to fail. Targeting algorithms that had decimated countless civilizations found themselves confronted with a defensive network that seemed to rewrite the very rules of engagement. Computational interference reaching critical levels, Chen reported, a hint of excitement in his voice. The turning tide was not just about military superiority. It was a demonstration of humanity's fundamental approach to technology, to problem-solving, to existence itself. Each moment of the conflict was an argument, a complex mathematical proof about the nature of innovation. The stars watched. The universe held its breath. And humanity continued its impossible, beautiful dance of resistance. The moment of critical transformation came not with a thunderous explosion, but with a series of microscopic computational revolutions. Dr. Michael Chen's fingers moved with surgical precision across quantum-encrypted interfaces. The cyber-quantum team worked in perfect synchronization, their neural interfaces creating a collective intelligence that moved faster than any traditional computational system could comprehend. Initiating Deep Network Infiltration Protocol, Chen announced, his voice calm and measured. The alien fleet's communication networks were complex, hierarchical systems built on centuries of technological development. They had conquered countless civilizations, their computational infrastructure seemingly impenetrable. But they had never encountered humanity's approach to technological problem-solving. Each line of code was more than a simple instruction. It was a living, adaptive argument about the nature of computational intelligence. The human cyber-quantum team didn't just seek to break through defensive systems. They sought to understand, to learn, to transform. Aboard the lead alien vessel, sensor operators began to notice impossible fluctuations. Communication channels that should have been secure began to shift, to change, to become something entirely unexpected. It was as if the very fabric of their technological infrastructure was being rewritten from within. Elena Rodriguez watched the holographic displays, each movement a complex dance of computational potential. Maintain quantum coherence, she commanded. Keep the infiltration adaptive and unpredictable. The infiltration was not a simple hack. It was a comprehensive exploration of alien computational ecosystems, where most would seek to destroy, the human team sought to understand. Each breached system became a repository of knowledge, a window into an entirely different approach to technological development. Alien ships found their internal systems becoming increasingly unreliable. Navigation protocols would suddenly shift, tactical systems would momentarily freeze, communication channels would burst with incomprehensible data streams that seemed to defy basic computational logic. Computational interference reaching critical complexity, reported a young specialist, her eyes reflecting the dance of holographic data streams. The psychological impact was devastating. The alien fleet had built its entire civilization on the premise of technological superiority. Now, they encountered a form of technological interaction that challenged everything they understood about computational potential. Dr. Chen's team didn't just breach the alien systems. They created a living, adaptive infiltration network that could learn and transform with each microsecond of interaction. It was less an attack and more a complex, multidimensional conversation about the nature of technological intelligence. Adaptive response protocols at maximum efficiency, Chen murmured. Entire squadrons of alien ships found themselves fighting against their own computational systems. Navigation protocols would suddenly suggest impossible maneuvers, Weapon systems would recalibrate to target their own vessels. Communication networks would burst with data streams that seemed to rewrite the very logic of their technological infrastructure. What the alien civilization failed to understand was that humanity's approach to technology was fundamentally different. They didn't see computational systems as fixed tools, but as living, evolving ecosystems of potential. Each breach was an opportunity to learn, to grow, to transform. Elena Rodriguez understood the deeper implications of their approach. This was not just about winning a conflict. It was about demonstrating a fundamentally different way of understanding technological potential, of existing in the universe. The human cyber-quantum team continued their impossible dance. They were not just breaking through defensive systems. They were engaged in the most comprehensive first contact research mission in galactic history. Maintain computational diversity, Rodriguez commanded. Keep them guessing. The alien fleet's computational systems began to fail in increasingly complex ways. What had once been predictable became a nightmare of computational uncertainty. Each moment of the conflict was a complex mathematical argument about the nature of technological innovation. Sensor displays across the human fleet showed the incredible complexity of the infiltration. It was less an attack and more a living, breathing computational ecosystem that seemed to rewrite the very rules of technological interaction. The stars watched. The universe held its breath. And humanity continued its impossible, beautiful dance of technological potential. The conflict had transformed into something far beyond a simple military engagement. It was a profound dialogue about the nature of existence, adaptation, and potential. Intercepted alien communications revealed a growing sense of psychological disintegration. Their hierarchical civilization, built on centuries of technological conquest, found itself confronting a fundamentally different approach to problem-solving. Dr. Elena Rodriguez studied the communication patterns with scientific fascination. Each intercepted message was a window into an alien psychology that was slowly unraveling under the pressure of human innovation. Communication analysis shows increasing cognitive dissonance, reported Dr. Sofia Nakamura, the lead synapsychology expert. Her holographic displays danced with complex linguistic and psychological models. They cannot comprehend our approach to conflict. And why would they? Humanity's response defied every known galactic paradigm of warfare and survival. Where most species saw conflict as a binary proposition, victory or defeat, humans viewed it as a complex, multidimensional opportunity for growth and understanding. Each moment of the encounter was a chance to learn, to evolve, to transform. The global research teams worked with an almost musical synchronization. Scientists from Tokyo collaborated with engineers from Lagos. Computational experts from Sao Paulo shared insights with quantum physicists from New Delhi. The old boundaries of nationality had long since dissolved, replaced by a collective human potential that burned brighter than any individual achievement. Psychological adaptation protocols are revealing fascinating data, Dr. Nakamura continued. Her voice carried a sense of wonder rather than fear. The alien fleet is experiencing a collective cognitive breakdown. It wasn't just about technological superiority. It was about a fundamentally different approach to existence. Humanity had learned through generations of global challenges, climate crisis, technological disruptions, societal transformations, that survival was not about resistance, but about adaptation. The human fleet moved with an almost organic complexity. Each vessel was both an individual system and part of a collective intelligence. They communicated through quantum-entangled networks that allowed for instantaneous, multidimensional information exchange. Aboard the alien command vessel, sensor operators watched in growing desperation. Their most advanced tracking systems had become increasingly unreliable. The human vessels seemed to exist in multiple potential states simultaneously, a quantum nightmare that defied traditional understanding. They view conflict as a conversation, Elena Rodriguez explained to her team. Not a destruction, but an opportunity for mutual understanding. The intercepted communications told a story of growing alien confusion. Their hierarchical decision-making systems, which had conquered countless civilizations, found themselves confronted with a species that refused to follow any predictable pattern of resistance or submission. Dr. Michael Chen's computational model showed something extraordinary. The human response was not just defensive. It was actively transforming the very nature of the conflict. Each interaction was an opportunity to gather information, to learn, to grow. Computational diversity at maximum potential, Chen reported, a sense of excitement in his voice. The alien fleet had expected a straightforward conquest. Instead, they found themselves engaged in the most complex first contact scenario in galactic history. Humanity was not just defending itself, it was challenging fundamental assumptions about technological potential, about the nature of intelligence, about existence itself. Psychological analysis showed a profound breakdown in alien military cohesion. Their rigid hierarchical systems could not comprehend the fluid, adaptive approach of human resistance. Where they expected fear, they found curiosity. Where they anticipated submission, they encountered relentless innovation. They are learning that survival is not about dominance, Dr. Nakamura observed, but about adaptation. The human approach was a living proof of a profound philosophical argument. Conflict was not about destruction, but about potential. Each moment was an opportunity to understand, to grow, to transform. The stars watched, the universe held its breath, and humanity continued its impossible, beautiful dance of potential. The final moments of the conflict were not defined by destruction, but by an unprecedented moment of transformation. Rear Admiral Elena Rodriguez watched the holographic displays with a calm that belied the magnitude of what was unfolding. The alien fleet's desperate planet killer protocol was more than an act of aggression. It was a final, catastrophic admission of their complete misunderstanding of humanity. Quantum Defensive Network fully engage, reported Dr. Michael Chen, his voice steady and measured. The response was instantaneous and breathtaking. Where most civilizations would have met aggression with overwhelming force, humanity chose a path of unprecedented complexity. The quantum-entangled weapon systems did more than neutralize the threat. They began to decode, to understand, to communicate. Each quantum signature of the incoming attack became a computational canvas. The human defensive network didn't just block or destroy. It analyzed, transformed, and ultimately repurposed the alien technology's fundamental energy signatures. Tracking quantum resonance back to source, Chen continued, his fingers moving across holographic interfaces that seemed to breathe with living information. The alien home systems began to experience something they had never encountered. Instead of a simple counterattack, they found themselves confronted with a comprehensive computational exploration. Human systems didn't just breach their defenses, they began to understand them at a fundamental level. Dr. Sophia Nakamura's nanotechnology team worked with surgical precision. Each moment of the encounter was an opportunity for unprecedented scientific discovery. They were not just defending Earth, they were expanding the very boundaries of human understanding. Computational translation protocols at maximum efficiency, she reported. The final stage of the conflict was less a battle and more a complex, multidimensional dialogue. The human response demonstrated a fundamental truth that the alien civilization had never comprehended. That true strength was not about domination, but about understanding. Quantum adaptive weapon systems traced the attack's origin with mathematical precision, but they did more than simply identify a target. They began to communicate, to explore, to understand the fundamental computational ecosystem of the alien civilization. Elena Rodriguez understood the deeper implications of their approach. Maintain open communication channels, she commanded. Show them what we truly are. The alien fleet watched in growing confusion as their most devastating attack was not just neutralized, but transformed into a complex computational dialogue. Their weapon signatures were being decoded, analyzed, ultimately becoming a bridge of understanding rather than a tool of destruction. Global research teams from every corner of the planet worked in perfect synchronization. This was more than a military engagement. It was the most comprehensive first contact research mission in human history. Quantum resonance translation at 97% efficiency, Chen announced, a hint of excitement in his voice. The final moments revealed the true nature of humanity's approach. Where the alien civilization saw conflict as a means of conquest, humans saw it as an opportunity for growth, for understanding, for transformation. Tracking systems followed the quantum signatures back to their source, not as an act of aggression, but as a profound attempt to understand. Each computational burst was a message, each defensive maneuver a complex mathematical argument about the nature of intelligence, of potential, of existence itself. Diplomatic communication channels preparing, Rodriguez commanded. The message was simple, yet profound. Not a declaration of victory, not a threat, but an invitation to understand. The quantum encrypted communication carried more than information. It carried a fundamental philosophical proposition about the nature of intelligent communication. As the last alien ship was systematically neutralized, Elena Rodriguez transmitted a message that would echo through the galaxy. First contact established, ready to communicate. It was more than a statement, it was a promise. The alien civilization had come expecting submission or destruction. Instead, they found something entirely unexpected, a species that viewed every challenge as an opportunity for mutual understanding. The stars watched. The universe held its breath. And humanity continued its impossible, beautiful dance of potential. Epilogue. The galaxy would never be the same. Humanity had not just defended itself, it had redefined the very concept of first contact.